I will be evaluating and critiquing this narrative photo today of one of my classmates. I think that this photo uses well the background and the use of space. So obviously in the foreground we can see an exam. It looks to be exam 2 on Friday, March 20th or 30th. Um, but I think the use of space is being used very effectively because in the foreground we see an exam that the person very clearly failed, did poorly on, and in the background we see alcohol. We see a beer, we see two shot glasses turned upside down, we see another one turned up, perhaps filled. So already with the use of space, we're getting a sense of a narrative, of a story going on here. We're seeing something deeper than just the picture that we see. There's also some texture. We can see that the bar that the man is sitting at is very smooth. It's been wiped clean. It's very slick. It's not dirty. We can also see the texture on the man's face. We see some facial hair, some stubble that looks to be kind of rough. Maybe he hasn't shaved in a couple days. Maybe it's because of the alcohol or the exam. Perhaps he was up late studying or up late drinking, and that's why he did poorly. But either way, he hasn't shaved in a few days, and so we can get this texture of roughness on his face, which I think juxtaposes very nicely against the very clean and smooth bar and very clean and smooth glass of beer in front of him. There is a lot of color in this photo. The exam seems to be a light blue, and the beer is green. And I think both of these stand out against the more plain background and just plain brown bar. And I think that this is used to emphasize the two things. I think that we're emphasizing the alcohol and emphasizing the exam. And so because of that, I think that all of those elements are being used very effectively in this photo. Which brings me to my next point. I believe that this photo is about alcoholism and its consequences. So what I'm getting from this photo is that the man is drinking a lot, and I think that because of his habit of drinking, that he's performing poorly in school. So this is one of the consequences of indulging in your vices, is that you can perform worse in your work or your career or school. And this man clearly did. He perhaps was drinking too much, didn't have time to study, and then failed his exam. So we can't really see how disappointed the man is because we don't have a good look at his face, but if we saw it, he'd probably be disappointed. That's probably why he's back at the bar. He's probably disappointed in himself, feels like he needs to escape that feeling, and so he's turning to alcohol once again to escape the feeling. Some things that I personally would change, I would try and focus the camera better. I can't tell if maybe the picture is zoomed in or just a little bit out of focus, but everything seems a little bit blurry. So I would change that. I would also try to get a different angle so that we could see the man's expression. Is he disappointed? Is it not really a surprise to him? I feel like we could get a lot more out of the narrative if we could see his expression. If he's frowning, if he looks annoyed, if just whatever's going on in his face, I think tells a lot about the story that we're kind of getting half of right now. So some compositional things that I would change again. I would really try and focus the picture a little bit better. It seems to be a little bit out of focus, so it's actually kind of hard to see what the exam says. Like I think it says Econ 391, but either way, I would try and focus it. Also, the cropping, I feel like we're really zoomed in, and I feel like if we cropped it to include more of the surrounding, more of the man, it would also tell a little bit more about the story. So how is he holding the exam? Is he holding it firm? Is he clenching it like he's angry? I can't really tell by his fingers how firmly he's holding the exam, but I feel like that could also tell us a little bit about the narrative. But I would perhaps also, just another thing I would maybe try out, I would try and include the bartender, and what does his face look like? Does he look disappointed in the man? Does he look annoyed or maybe not surprised? Does he expect this man here all the time? So just some things that I would try out possibly, but I do think that the elements that are in use in this photo are being used very effectively, and that the narrative is coming across very clearly, that alcoholism or alcohol itself just has a lot of consequences, and one of them can be performing poorly in school, getting bad grades, and possibly being disappointed in yourself.